Okay. Hey guys, and welcome back to the House of H.E.R.
I'm Holly.
And I'm Molly.
And today we are talking again about justice. So this is part 2. But you may have noticed we're in a new studio.
We've gone up in the world.
We are progressing, but we're so excited because I think if you've stayed with us
from day one,
you will
know the technical issues we have.
Yeah.
And hopefully no more.
Getting a little wave in the background. But yeah, we are super excited now to be in our new studio.
Level up
and bring you. I mean, we've always said what we're talking about is more important than actually, which is why we've continued throughout the hardships that we've faced, that our story and what we are discussing is obviously more important than the quality. But
we wanted to make it as pleasant and luxurious, enjoyable as it can be for you guys while you're listening.
So before we get into it, we have got the trigger warning.
So in this episode, we speak about themes of trauma, mental health and abuse. If these topics feel too raw right now, it's okay to pause, step away or come back when you're ready. So where did we leave off?
I know. So obviously we've done part 1. It was always such an important part of
the journey.
So many of you wanted to know, what happened after the relationship, leaving, and then in part 1 we have discussed the first part of leaving, which was what happened going to the police. So that is available if you haven't watched it yet. But today we're going to cover part 2, which is more about like once he'd been arrested.
And once you got that call from CPS to say that he was had been remanded, really, what happened next?
Yeah, so that's kind of where we finished off. So maybe we'll just do a little recap. So once I went to the police and he got arrested, I was not expecting him at all to be remanded. I was, I think even now, I think even up until this very point, it's still, I have moments of oh my God, this has actually happened and I was taken seriously. And you don't ever think, I think you bury it for so long, which I know we've both done. But I think when you're in that relationship, you are conditioned to believe that you are just a drama queen, that it's you're crazy. They've done nothing wrong. It's not domestic abuse because it's like I said in the last one, he always come home and was like, I don't beat you because you've not done the dishes, so therefore it's not domestic abuse.
No.
It's because we're arguing. So I think you are just conditioned. So then when you start hearing people, when it's your family and friends, I guess sounds a bit weird, but when you're talking to your family and friends about it,
I think that
you think they're just saying it because it's you.
Yeah.
And they're defending you.
And I think as well, it's just never really the stories that we hear. You hear of things happening like this to women all of the time, or 2 million a year.
Yeah.
But we actually rarely do hear about women getting justice, and it is something that we are hoping is on the rise. But you hear so many stories, and just like so many of our listeners haven't had that same outcome and that same experience, and it doesn't get treated with the severity it deserves. So you don't expect it to, especially when it's happened to you
And I think as well, even though I'd told family and friends, even when I'd spoke to you.
You played it down.
Played it down massively. I think it was only when I went to the police, and obviously they needed evidence.
Well, they knew what questions to ask as well.
Exactly. And they're trained evidence of what had happened. So when I'm then showing the pictures and showing the messages, and it's like, oh my God.
You can't avoid it.
You can't avoid it. So, I'd go to family and friends and I'd massively play it down because I felt ashamed, which when you've been through it, you'll get that, because for anyone from an outside point of view will think, why would you feel ashamed? But you do. It's how you're conditioned. Yeah. So I think it was a thing of only when I went to the police that I think actually that this episode, when I told my story, was the first real time that anyone in my family and friends, I think there's been bits and pieces, but there'd never been a thing where I've sat down and gone through everything, because it's a really hard, when you're sitting in front of my sister, for example.
You love her and you don't want her to that hurts her to hear that.
Yeah.
So you're almost protecting them maybe without even realising.
Yeah, well, I know like friends of obviously you draw the straw here because you're doing the podcast with me, so you have to listen. But I know my friends like Rachel, Steph, but they can't listen to it. They've tried so many times to see it. Well, even when I sent you that video last night, you was like, I can't watch it because you were so upset.
But even in like the last episode, I was sat through the whole thing. But even in the last episode, I heard, and I was in the trial. Like I was at court.
Yeah.
I was sat in front of you for the whole thing. Like we've spoken about it. We were speaking about it in the car on the way. We're always talking about it.
Yeah.
And every time you speak about it, I hear something new. Like there were things you said on the last episode that I just still didn't know. And I was at the bloody trial.
It's mad. And I think I don't know if I said it in the last episode as well about like, even there is so much that even wasn't even in that court case, because when I went to the police, I think I had such amazing evidence for the big things that I think they knew. They know their jobs, they know what they're doing, and they probably thought we don't need all the other little bits. They took the bits that they needed, the things that we had. Because, you know, there is things in, like I'm talking about these, there were probably 6-7 events that instances that they used. I'm talking about a year to 18 months of abuse every single day in one way or another, whether that's mental, physical, whatever it was. I don't have evidence for the tiny little things on my phone. I didn't run. My priority wasn't to run to my phone and take a picture every time something happened. But it would only be when I would say more so, like from when it happened in October, I didn't actually have that much. It was only like a few months in that I started thinking, I need to, it's like I almost knew that one day I would have to go to the police with this because I just knew the level of the violence that there was.
Well,
thank God.
I think you were scared for your life as well. So I think that if maybe it was a small part of you that if anything ever did happen,
that it would be
there would be the evidence.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's what I was going to say. That's exactly what they said at court as well. It was every day for 18 months. Yeah. It would take you 18 months to relive all of it and go through everything that you experienced because it literally was happening every single day.
Well, that's what he tried to argue, didn't he? He was trying to say that it wasn't a prolonged and the judge, you know, they've got the evidence, they've had my phone, they've gone through everything. They know the mental side of it was every single day. Maybe not the violence, but the violence was becoming a weekly thing. But the mental torture,
which you thought was worse anyway.
Oh my God, absolutely. That's the bit that I struggle, I think.
Affected you the most, maybe.
That's the aftermath that I've really, really struggled with. But yeah, so he ended up, obviously I went to the police. I completely, like I said, I'm just doing a little recap that I had no idea that he was going to get kept in. I just assumed that he would get a little slap on the wrist. We've been told that you've done this, this and this, and he would be let out.
Which is just a testament to how unaware you was of what was really going on.
I still think I'm so unaware.
Yeah, I do as well.
Like I genuinely believe that
Does it feel real?
No, I'll actually get onto it because going off track here, I started a trauma chakra transformation
therapy process,
healing journey. I've actually put therapy on hold for a couple of weeks. I haven't done it for about 6 weeks now. First of all, it was mainly because it was the 6 weeks holidays, and being honest, I'm a single mum. I couldn't afford to be laying out. It's an expensive process. Which is the other thing that's a bit annoying is, you know, all these things that happen and you end up having to fork out and pay all this money to pick up someone else's problems, basically. Because if they went to therapy, we wouldn't have to.
That's actually so true, and I've never thought about that before.
Yeah, like, and it's not, you know, it's not, you can get it through doctors and stuff, but it's a long process. And sometimes you get to a point, I got to a point, I was like, I can't wait a year to go on a waiting list to speak to someone, and probably the same with you. Yeah. But so I put that on hold. I feel like I'd done a lot of talking, and I felt like, and I will 100% go back to that. Like, it's not saying that therapy, I think, will be something that I do lifelong now. Same. I think it will be something that I can probably do, probably the same with you, like go every other week, or maybe as time goes on, hopefully it'll be like once a month.
Yeah, or periods where you feel
like you just need to unload, because you do feel lighter.
You do.
Like, I do feel like you go in there, you speak, and I'd go in there every week and be like, yeah, I'm fine this week. And then 2 minutes in, I'd be like,
No, that's the first thing she asks, how are you? And I'm like, it takes me like 5-10 minutes to respond. But I think that's same with therapy. I think I've not spoken about my relationship now for ages, but I'm speaking about things that happen to me every week. Like, it helps me manage my life.
Yeah.
Even in business, like the impact that therapy has had on the way I carry myself in business, the way I show up to things and the standard I hold myself to, massively.
Yeah.
It
And
impacts everything. Every relationship in my life has been drastically improved by
proved.
therapy.
And I think we was having this conversation in the car this morning, weren't we, about me being self-aware. Like,
You
and I
asked.
have become so, probably a little bit too much, that I over-analyse myself
She
now.
said that to me at the start of my therapy. She went, "You're very self-aware."
Yeah.
And when I heard you in the car today, I was like, "You're very..." But I think it's a really good thing
But
to
I think
be.
that's therapy.
Yeah,
Because
same.
now every time I think something, Angela is in the back of my head, like, this is you.
Yeah.
And, and I
because
think...
you start to notice your patterns then and why you do certain things, and you're able to sit with those things without shame. Like, you're able to look at yourself and think, "Oh, I'm doing X, Y, Z, or I'm suffering with this, that, and the other," and you don't beat yourself up for it. You're actually able to accept that
this is
this is
how
where,
you are.
and that's one of the biggest things therapy taught me. I think when you're able to do that with yourself, you're able to do that with other people. And that's why I think one of the reasons I think it's really impacted my relationships everywhere. Because you don't have to be perfect.
No.
And neither does anyone else. And it's just to have that acceptance and understanding of people.
Yeah, and finding the right people that do and can accept you.
Yeah.
And no, 100%. So I stopped therapy for a bit, and I've started this transformation. So I'm still doing some type of healing work. It's just not so much, well, it is still talking a little bit, but it's more about digging deep. And, if you're someone who's watching this, you might think this is a bit woo-woo, but I've, been on such a self-discovery and
You
healing.
tried everything.
I've had to, because I was, well, we all know what place I was in, and I've really had to change and dig deep. And I feel like I have tapped into this little bit of like a spiritual side that
every week you come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's spiritual. I don't know if spiritual is, but I've really got in tune with myself.
I think it is spiritual, 100%.
Yeah. And so I've started this journey, and last week and it came at such an amazing time, because I started it the week after court. So I could go into it with a clear... I don't think I could have started it any other time. So actually, the way it's been something that I've been looking at for ages, and there was an offer on, and I thought, you know what, sod it. And it turns out the week I started was the week, so it was perfect. But we got to week 3 last week, and it's...
Has it been 3 weeks since?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. This would be 3 weeks, yeah. And we got into it, and basically it's Kundalini. And we're going to have Kat on, because Kat is brilliant, and she's healed herself, but her way of looking at things, and I know that she can help so many women. She deals with trauma and lifting trauma out of the body through somatic movement. And if you follow me on Instagram, and I know Molly's done the class, her Kunda dance
I love
she
it.
does, incredible. But I'm doing a one-to-one with her, and actually the whole point of this was, when we started working last week, she's very spiritual and she brings things up to me, and I'm like, oh my God, how do you know that? And she said to me, you are still holding on to so much guilt. I can feel it in you. And I just broke down and started crying. And I think I've got so used to putting on an act, and obviously through opening up the podcast and doing all of this, which has been amazing, it is very heavy.
It's so raw.
And it's raw. And I've now feel like, and I know you feel like, I can't sleep at night because I just want to help people.
Yeah.
Like, the ideas and the things that are going around in my mind, I'm laying there awake. How can we change the world? How can we help women? How can we do this? And I think I've just shut off to actually what I've been through and my own healing, because I'm so now obsessed with helping other people. And she said to me, I can see that the person you're showing up to be is great, but you're still so vulnerable in your own healing journey.
I think that's a distraction from your healing. And I actually think, sorry to interrupt, but I actually think that the thing that is going to help people the most is your healing. Like, when you're vulnerable and you share, and that is what impacts people the most, and that's what they connect to. But I think it is definitely more comfortable to look at fun, like easy things, rather than have to keep dredging up all this stuff that you've kept buried for so long.
Yeah, and I think as well, I think it's kind of like I've always had to distract with something. So obviously when you're going through it, you just, and I think that's an ADHD thing as well, but when you're going through it, you're burying it so much that it's not real. And then obviously coming out of it, all I had to focus on was the police, the court. So I was living in that bubble. And then that's kind of come to an end. And it's like, well, I need to help other people.
Yeah.
I need to put all of my focus and all of my energy into now. And Kat said to me, you are taking on so much, which I love. Is
this not ringing any alarm bells to you for me a couple months ago?
Yeah.
When Angela said it to me as well. And how much have I been? I haven't. Sorry, I interrupted you again, but
no, go.
I literally this week I've been on holiday for the last week. That's the first time I've not worked in over 3 years.
You just threw yourself into
exactly what you're doing is exactly what I feel like you've kind of caught up now.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're actually in the same part of our journey. Twins. But yeah, like with the distractions and everything, that's exactly what Angela said. You've not felt or processed it. Since my episode, like I felt like I was living through what had happened to me all before and then up to my episode, and now I can't remember any of it now. It's got to the point where I actually don't really remember what happened and it doesn't feel real at all. And the distractions and everything, I relate to you so much on that.
It's such a... And I think it is, and I think I didn't realise it because I felt like, and I actually done a post yesterday about it on my Instagram, was that I feel like I'd almost felt like I'd done so much healing. Yeah. And actually what I've realised is I don't think I have healed. I don't think it was possible for me to fully heal. Yes, I've come on leaps and bounds, and yes, I've found strength, but I feel like that is different to healing.
Same.
Finding the strength and courage and something in you to keep going is very different to healing, because I think it's almost near impossible to heal from something when you are going through a court case.
Yeah.
And that is hanging over you. I don't think I healed. I think I went into another survival mechanism. And listen, I have found strength. I have done therapy. Like you, I've done so much work on myself to gain strength to get through those situations. But have I done the real inner healing work? No, because I was still going through it and I was distracting myself and...
You're reading me right now.
We're the same.
Well, you just bloody told me I've got to do that as well now. Fantastic.
Yeah. So now we're going to heal, guys. So now we're going to take you the next part
it's in
of
a box.
But also, I think, like you said last time, I think this is going to tie in really well, because I feel like season 1 has been great for us sharing our stories. We have spoke about trauma bonding, and don't get me wrong, there'll be so much else that we cover and raising awareness for and doing all of these things. But I feel like we've covered the things that have made you get to know us, made you get to know our stories.
Our stories, exactly.
You can relate.
You know who we are, what we've been through, where we're coming from, where we're heading.
And you can connect with us. And then I think season 2 is definitely going to be more about healing, our healing journeys, sharing what we're doing, talking about the things that are helping us, sharing tools with you guys. And I think that's going to flow really nicely, because I think actually we haven't healed.
No.
Like, we've come on and
that literally makes my tummy go over when you say that, because it's true.
Yeah. And I feel like this has been a great, we wanted to do this, and actually we wanted to do it while it was so raw.
But it's fresh.
Yeah, but it has been so raw that I don't think, and actually I figured that out the other day in my class, was that I
think when you're still getting triggered by things as well, and you haven't, we both still get triggered. And I think that's a sign that you're not healed. But I think I feel so disassociated with it. It's in a box. I don't remember it. So I definitely don't think I'm healed at all.
No, you haven't even thought about it too. Not thought about it, but you've just completely pushed it away to not bring things up and deal with things, which is...
But like, I think that what you just said, season 2 healed, season 3 empowered, season 4 rich, but I think there could be so much, like, because I've been doing a lot of healing, my inner child work in therapy, and I've got so many notes and things on that, but we can really delve into that on season 2, and I think that would be really good.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
And all the healing, we've both been doing different kinds of healing things. I think it'd be really powerful to bring them together
Yeah.
and also discover more.
Yeah. And I know there's so many guests, like people that we work with do it who, want to
We've
come
got
on.
along our bloody list, haven't we?
Yeah. And I think we'll have to make it like 20
Yeah.
episodes. But
CPS?
yes, CPS. My mind went blank there. So that's where I got to. So in the class that I was doing, it really affirmed that through this, I have still got such a long way to go, and I carry so much guilt and still so much shame around it, I think, and still not believing that that this has actually happened to me, and it's very disassociating. So
I think but I really wanted to just say onto that, I actually think a lot of our listeners are going to feel exactly the same way to what you're saying. So I think it's really important that you're saying that.
Yeah, and I think, and I up until I had that lesson with her, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so much better. Oh my God, oh my God, I've got here. Look, I'm not laying in my bed crying, and I can leave the house. And
I think everyone listening to this, what you're saying right now, because I literally genuinely believe every single person listening to this is going to be like, crap, like saying, because that's exactly it. What you're saying, I think, is going to relate to so many of our listeners.
Yeah, and I think it is. It's such, and like I just said, having strength is different to having healed, and
That's such an important thing to differentiate as well. And I don't think that there's enough conversation around that at all.
Yeah, and so that was a real eye opener for me, and I think this week off the back of that has been a huge thing of me struggling to deal with emotions with that, because a lot has come up, the way she makes me move while I'm talking and things, and I'm getting flashbacks of things, and I've had a couple of triggers this week, and it's all because it's starting to come up. So instead of me burying it and pushing away, I'm starting to feel those emotions and feel things, and things are coming back to me and triggering me. And I think that was it. I'm starting to realise what's happened. And for so long, even through this whole court thing, it's kind of been like you're on autopilot going through it. You don't really believe. It's almost like you're living someone else's life and you're walking
disconnected. But that's what they say, don't they? If you get someone who's been through a traumatic experience to tell, if you scan someone's brain and you get them to tell you a traumatic experience, their brain will flare up exactly the same way it would when it happened. Like the way your brain goes and flares up when you have experienced trauma.
Yeah.
When you tell the story or relive the trauma, the exact same thing happens in your brain.
Happens. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, how the mind works. I mean, this is something else that on this journey is completely like how our body and mind works. But
like the nervous system, it's all connected.
It's crazy. So getting back to, so that happened. He got arrested.
Remanded.
And then I feel like, to be honest, the in-between parts of that are very much about what we're talking about. For me, it became about constant going back and forth with the police. I mean, through the year, I've had holidays and I've had time away. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to healing, is that, like, for instance, I went away in May, and was it May I went on holiday? So this happened in like March. I think it was like the end of April. So not long afterwards, and I'd won a work trip. And
I remember this.
And you go away, and I was literally like I couldn't really rest. I was anxious.
You had a panic attack, didn't you?
Yes, was that then?
Yeah, when you went on the girls' trip for Monet.
Yes.
I remember you texting me.
I had a panic attack. I think my body maybe had started to relax and thought, what the hell is going on here? But I was driving myself mad. And one of the things that I'm still struggling with, and has been a massive struggle for me, is finding peace. And something that I think has been so not spoke about enough is that when you walk away from a relationship that is so traumatic, that you live in a state of fight or flight, it literally is making my hair stand up on my leg, that you walked away. And I remember walking away and thinking, I just want peace.
Your brain's rewired now.
Is peace. I'm going to walk out of that relationship.
And I'm free.
And actually, it was actually leaving the relationship was harder than being in the relationship.
That's crazy. I think maybe because you had to face what
Yeah.
had happened and you was in denial.
Mm.
And I think that's what we were speaking about in the car as well, wasn't it? And Angela said it to you before. Your brain has been reprogrammed for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And your now comfort and safe space and sense of normality is in chaos and violence and the trauma bond and the love bombing circle. So when you get the peace,
Oh, I could not. I just could not. And
it's the unfamiliar, I guess, as well.
oh my God, I couldn't sit on my sofa.
I know.
Like, I genuinely could not. I couldn't sit down. Like, when I sit down now on my sofa, I'm so grateful, because I feel like that's the one thing I have found and come on leaps and bounds is in my family home environment.
Yeah.
I've
It
redecorated.
looks amazing. It's crazy. The energy
Actually
in
looks a
there.
bit like this.
Yeah, it does.
I've made it
Very
like
grand,
a garden
yeah.
centre, because I needed like the plants and just that vibe of like tranquility.
It was like a different room.
But I had to, because it was such a place of trauma for me, and in that respect, like, my family home environment is just so peaceful now.
But that's something that we should say to listeners as well, because that did really help you. You only went to like Darnell and IKEA, didn't you? And she just reshifted the room, made it more cozy, but the whole energy of the space, it became your safe space again, didn't you say?
I actually done a video of this on the Patreon,
Yeah.
because this is actually really important. So for anyone who is listening,
And feels that way about their home, you don't feel safe in it.
for emotional safety, I have a corner of the sofa, and it could be anywhere in your house. But when I come down in the morning and I do my morning routine, I have a corner of the sofa that is like my little spot where I do my journaling, where I sit, I have my coffee. And it's like, when I'm in that little corner with the blanket over me, and it can be, but basically it's just somewhere for you to go. It might not even be a place. It could be a blanket.
State of mind, or
It could be a teddy. It could be something that you have at a certain point of your house where you just feel like you go a bit like,
well, that would be really good for like something you associate with peace and calm. That's really, we do a lot of this in therapy as well. Like, if you don't have that right now, choose something or somewhere and actually visualize it. Visualization's so key, like in the way you
Absolutely.
program your brain, so key. But exactly for that corner, create it in your mind's eye, like actually visualize it and almost create a bubble around it, or however, comes to you most naturally. But put a bubble around that and tell yourself, this is my safe space. This is.
And it basically is everything comes down to, like, our brains have been rewired for trauma and stress and to expect the worst. It's about rewiring those small
Creating
moments
safety.
and places, so that your brain starts to recognize that even if you walk, and it sounds so crazy. And honestly, when I got told these things, I thought,
I think it makes so much sense.
but I would walk into this little place, like this little seat in my house, this little part, and I would just repeat to myself, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. And Angela teaches you to do these things and like cuddle
Do you know
yourself.
what my ones are? Mine, I'm safe, I'm kind. What else are they? I can't even remember mine now.
But
I
it's
have loads of
basically,
them.
it's like just doing positive
Affirmations.
affirmations and reprogramming. So when you sit there, your body naturally will start to feel it, and you will start to associate that place with safeness. So your body then starts to get rewired and reprogrammed for safety and looking for safety. So when you walk into your house, you are looking for safety.
So can I just say, from a science point, neuroscientist over here, your brain, this is in the manifest book as well, isn't it? Your brain believes everything you tell it. So your brain actually doesn't know what's true or false. That's why some people can be raised thinking the world's flat, or in cults, or, you have people with eating disorders who are really, really thin and they look in the mirror and think that they're fat. Your brain does not know what's true or false. So whatever you tell your brain repeatedly, it will believe. This is something I see people struggling with all the time. It's something I've learned in my own healing. So like when you are telling yourself, if you wake up every morning and say, I'm going to have a crap day, and all day long you look for the bad things, you're going to have a crap day. If you wake up and you say, I'm going to have a great day, and you look for all the positives in your day, which is why gratitude's so important, the impact of your day is so different. This is the thing that put me on this. The thing that really changed the game on this for me was when I first went to therapy when I was 21, because I went to therapy and I was quite suicidal and depressed, and I left therapy and I wasn't amazing or healed, but I was a lot less suicidal and a lot less depressed. And what I could not believe was the fact that nothing in my life had changed from when I went to when I left. It was just my perspective.
Yeah.
And that's why having those positive affirmations and saying those things to yourself daily, you have to be kind to yourself. Like, you will have an inner critic, but the way you speak to yourself really, really matters.
And it's funny because within our herhood community, I've been doing a 14-day, I said to you that where you've been away, and I've doing this challenge. And actually at the end of the day, I've said to them to write one thing down, that the best part of their day. And it's about reprogramming your mind
to
look. And it could be something as simple as someone opened a door for you and said, thank you.
But you forget those things.
But you forget those things because we are automatically in society anyway, outside of going through trauma, going through abuse. I think we are programmed to just remember all the shit that's happened in our day.
I had a rubbish day, got stuck in traffic.
This happened, exactly.
But the sunset was beautiful, or someone held the door.
So it's about reprogramming your mind. And actually, when you start to notice the small things, and for me now, this is huge, I notice the littlest things, and they have actually turned out to be the biggest things. And when you start noticing these little things and thinking back through your day, you notice that actually a lot of good happened. And when you start noticing that, you start becoming more aware of it.
And you become more positive and happier, and you feel better about
And it's
everything.
just about that complete reprogramming your mind, which is something which has been so important throughout this kind of going through the whole court process. And that is where I have shifted a lot of work.
That's another great tool for that, which I did again years ago. But I only did it for a few months, and it's stuck with me ever since. It impacted me that much. I got a gratitude journal.
Yeah.
And we should probably do a gratitude journal now.
I do gratitudes every single morning.
But we should make one, I think.
Yeah.
But I did a gratitude journal, and it made me do it each morning and each evening. And it changed my perspective. And I would literally be driving in the car, and I look at the sky and I'm like freaking out. Like, I feel so happy and like, oh my God. That's the most small. I'm eating my dinner and I'm like, I'm so lucky to be having. But you appreciate everything so much more, and it just impacts. Like, I'm can be with friends, and I've been with friends recently, and me and one of my best friends, Liv, we just went on holiday, and she suffers with anxiety and things like that, and it was crazy. Like, everyone knows I get the Ibiza blues. Like, she was feeling really like low and sad after Ibiza. And it's like, I said, she does go to Angela as well, and we call her inner critic, Clive. Yeah. But it's crazy. Like, I'm watching, we've had such a great experience, and we're so lucky, and it was amazing. We had the best time. But everyone seems to come back from Ibiza sad that it's, people instantly, I'm not having it now, so they're sad. Whereas I'm like, and that's what we were saying, I'm happy it happened. I'm not sad it's over, I'm happy it happened. But just because I've rewired my brain in that way, I don't get the Ibiza blues. And I think a lot of people get the Ibiza blues.
Yeah, but I think it's the way we've been programmed, isn't it? And I think we are so programmed to look for the negative. And when you go through things like this, it really affirms it. And I think when you start these journeys, like starting it at the beginning, and for anyone listening, you are probably going to think, I'm going to sit there and say to myself, I am grateful, I am this, and I sit in a corner and say, I am safe. That's not going to work.
But it is.
And when you are in such a bad place, you genuinely, I remember being told that and thinking, how the heck, I literally am at the end of life, I feel like.
Yeah.
How is me sitting somewhere saying I am safe going to fix me? And it doesn't overnight.
No, and those are small things that help along the way.
And but the compound effect that these little small daily habits add up to is what gets you into a person that can wake up one morning, and even if you start to wake up
1% happier.
1% happier, or having anxiety 4 days of the week instead of 6. Like, it's all going in the right direction, and they're just such positive things that through a process, especially if you are someone that is going through a court process or you've been to the police and all of these situations, you have to find the strength in the smallest of things, and you've just got to get it from somewhere. And I think, you know, you can either go through it and say to yourself, well, that's not going to work, that's not going to work. But one thing I've learned is that
gotta try.
You've got to pick yourself up and try again.
And what I wanted to also add on to that as well, was you going to say one more thing?
No, I was just going to say, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Nothing changes if nothing changes. And as well, this is one thing I feel like I notice a lot when I speak to people, because I say this stuff that we're saying now to people all the time. If you want your life to get better, if you're feeling crappy, you're going through whatever you're going through, you have to, the only person who can really change it is you. It's not going to be a new partner or this or that. You have to actually want that for yourself. I think that's the first step. And you have to want to try those things and want that. It isn't easy. You do feel like an idiot when you're sitting there saying I'm safe or whatever, but if you want to change your outcome, you've got one life. It's very short. Like, we're here by complete chance. It is too short to be feeling crap about yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to actually want to change. You have to want that. That's the one thing. I speak to people who suffer with these things a lot, but they feel like they don't actually want that for themselves. And you do. You deserve it.
I think it's about believing that you're not worthy of that. I think you're so programmed, especially after abuse and stuff, you literally get all of that taken out of you.
You have to put the work in. You have to decide, I do deserve more than this and I'm better than this. And whoever's listening probably thinks that me and you deserve better than this. And we're no different from you guys.
Yeah.
So if you think that we do, so do you.
Yeah. And I think such an important part of this process is learning about yourself and loving yourself. And one thing that I think has become so different for me is that I am one of the biggest struggles that I had, which has turned out to be my strength maybe, is that I have always relied on someone else's validation.
External validation.
And sorry, I know we've gone like, this is still part of the journey because this is what happened to me after the whole police thing. This has been my journey after the police and finding out all of these things.
But the biggest thing I remember from your healing journey the whole time was definitely that you struggled so much with the self-love, and that's why this is all so important.
Yeah, I literally struggled so badly. I think I've always,
worse than anyone I've seen you struggled with, like the concerns about your neck and everything,
just
and your
everything. I just couldn't look in a mirror. Like, I genuinely, and it sounds, not that I can sit and laugh about it because it really, really was not funny. Honestly, had me on the brink. But I think if you followed me, you'll know I'm a relationship girly, and I've had my fair few. And, I always felt a bit embarrassed about that. And I think that holding on to that guilt and shame of my relationships and not being with my children's dads, and you know what it's like. I think I hold this stigma of, like, when I meet someone and it's like, oh my, how many children have you got? Oh, 2. Oh, and they automatically say, oh, do they see their dad a lot? And then I'm like, oh no, they've got different dads. And oh, was he the father of the person that you was just with? No. And it becomes this stigma thing that you create shame.
That's just society.
And I think, do you know what?
We've had a long chat about this before as well.
It has been part of my journey. And I think for so long I held on to shame, and I think I then started to believe that I wasn't worthy of something great because I've had 2 children that have had different dads.
None of those, in my opinion, none of those relationship breakdowns were your fault. And actually, you would have been worse to have stayed in those situations.
And I think for me, I could have settled. I could have stayed in relationships that I knew weren't right for me. And
I think it's more power to you that you didn't.
Yeah, but I also do think I'd never done work on myself. And I think at some point, not saying that relationship, issues, but I think at some point it is important to take accountability, and not accountability for saying that the end of a relationship is but not knowing your worth.
Yes.
That's where you have to take 100%. The accountability, is because if we had done, and I truly believe you go through things to get to certain places, but if I'd have done this work 5, 10 years ago, I would never have ended up in the relationship that I just did.
I wouldn't have ended up in any of my relationships if I
Yeah.
had done this work.
So I do think it is so important that at some point not take accountability the fact that you have
Been treated
been treated
badly.
like that, but it's all about over time, society, relationships, what we get told as children.
It's the world that was built for us.
Yeah.
This literally, we are a product of the. I think again, every single woman listening to this could probably say that if she hadn't been on a healing journey and herself, I don't think anyone listening can say that they've got the self-worth and self-love where it should be. And I think every woman listening can probably say she's accepted things she doesn't deserve from friends, family, relationships, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's because that is the way that the world was designed.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
I think
that's not your shame to carry.
Yeah, but I do think, now I want to take accountability.
Yes.
I want things to be different. And I said it before, I feel like sometimes that Angela said to me, a stone gets thrown at the building, it gets thrown, and then all of a sudden one and the building collapses and you have to rebuild. And I genuinely believe that through this journey of, everything with the police and the court and all of that stuff, I am becoming someone who is completely different. I cut out alcohol for 6 months. And what I will say to anybody who is going through trauma, a relationship breaking up, coming out of,
Rough
you
times.
mentioned it before, if you put someone back in that same environment, the habits will never change. I have had to lose friendship circles. I haven't had to lose, I chose to lose.
So you chose yourself.
I chose myself. I chose my boundaries. I knew what environments were going to be right for me. And don't get me wrong, I think the last week or so, it has really impacted me how much I've had to say goodbye to because of him, I guess. But also at the same time, I've had to do that to protect myself.
And what you deserve.
Yeah.
And that's what you're now prioritizing.
Yeah. And nothing changes if nothing changes. And I got to a point where I was like, I will end up in the same type of relationship if I do not now change everything in my life. So I didn't drink for 6 months, which if I can give one bit of advice to anybody coming out of that type of relationship, you need to stop drinking, you need to stop partying, and you need to stop going out and doing drugs if that's your thing, and I think that's a very taboo thing to speak about,
Yeah.
but I think it's reality in this day and age. We look for happiness on a night out,
Yeah.
in the end of a glass of rosé,
Yeah.
and in drugs. And I think that is, it's just the society that we live in, and it's
an
world.
escape from reality.
It's an escape, and that's literally all it is. It's plastering over cracks for one night, and it's just replacing one thing
instead of doing the work.
Because
facing the demons.
That's the easy option. And I think for so long I went for the easy option because going down that harder route took me to a place of where I didn't want to be here anymore. And that's a hard thing. But on the other side of that is now I'm slowly starting to come out and see the world in a completely different light.
And who you really were meant to be. And actually you're making choices that do support you and are what's... And I don't think there are many people around that actually can say that the choices that they make and the decisions they make are to honour themselves, and they really do things that are right for them. So the fact that you're in that position, more power to you.
Yeah, and I think, and it's been a really, really hard journey. I've had to, through it, I've had best friends that I've had to cut off, which has been really sad and soul destroying, if I'm honest, because you almost feel cheated. You almost think, why is he sitting there with all of the same friends, with all of the same friendship groups? I didn't do anything wrong, but yet I'm the one who's having to lose out. And I feel like I've really struggled with that aspect of it. But
I don't think you are losing out though, because I think that you can't lose. You
can't lose what is meant for you.
No, but yeah, exactly. But also you're winning because you're aligning yourself and surrounding yourself with people that actually respect and value you in the way that you deserve. So that's what I always say, that when I'm with dating, if a boy doesn't want to treat me right or do the best for me or treat me how I deserve, that's not a loss. Even if a boy doesn't like me back, say I'm seeing someone and they don't like me anymore, that's not a loss to me, because I want to be with someone who respects and values and sees me for my worth. It's not a loss to lose someone who doesn't actually value me and respect me and treat me as good as I deserve to be treated. I think the only people you have lost are people that don't really deserve you in their life.
Absolutely, but I think
still hurts.
It's learning on that process, and
and it's realising people that you did think
it's
were...
the letdown of it. It's the thinking of it. It's expecting
Trusting
things of people and not having that. And it has changed my whole life, because these people were a huge part of my life, a huge part of my friendship circle.
It's more of a loss than everything you've already
part
lost.
Of my
identity.
Yeah, and it is a bigger loss than what he was, because he's been in my life a couple of years. These friendship groups have been in my life 15.
And that's who they do become part of your identity and who you resonate and align with.
And I think that's been a really big struggle for me, I think.
But do you think it's been worth it?
I'd like to think, honestly, I think I'm in a place right now that I think I'm struggling with that. I think I've struggled through the whole process of this, of really not understanding people's minds and trying to work out how people can be how they are.
Same.
Now, I'm not saying everybody, because I know with certain friends there has been situations which I get, it's incredibly tough situations. We were part of an incredibly close friendship group. He is best friends with some of my friends' husbands and partners, and it's all very intertwined. And I do get some of them. There has been a lot of upset and but the bottom line is, at the end of the day, you have to do what is right for you. And regardless of what my thoughts are of anything, I know the things that are right for me. But I think after it all, I think you're on such autopilot going through the process that I think right now my struggle is how much my life has changed and who I've lost in my life. And that is my decision. I know I could probably go back to these friendship groups, and if I wanted to but I don't, in all honesty.
So in what way is it, so I said to you, do you think that was, you've improved, did I say, for the best? You're not sure. I want to know why.
Yeah, I think that
why does that come up negative for you?
I think it's just a change. I think it's the unfamiliar. I am so blessed. Someone replied to my Instagram story. Through this process, I've reconnected with so many amazing friends that have messaged me. And I'm talking friends that I haven't seen for like 20 years. That have messaged me and supported me,
your people,
throughout this process. Whether it's a little message saying, I'm thinking of you, you're in my thoughts constantly. And actually, I'm meeting one of them on Thursday, an old friend, and she actually messaged me. I'd done a story yesterday saying about letting things go, and she said, but don't forget the welcoming back to friends who were always there all along. And it really made me style.
It shows you who. That's what I think when it happened with me. It really shows you who your friends really are and who's really got you.
And there's things like I remember throughout this whole ordeal, there is people that I have known for years who have watched me break down, who have watched what I have been through, who I would close as good friends. I'm talking about going out for their birthdays, when they're having babies, I'm buying presents, and they have not said a word to me, not once, not said to me, like, they're not just acquaintances, they're people that I have made effort for, gone to their kids' birthday parties, gone on holidays together, and not once have these people bothered to send a message and say, I hope you're okay. And I've struggled for so long, but actually I saw something also this week. I feel like my explore page is really giving signs. The inside of my brain right now.
Mine's giving Summer I Turn Pretty.
Yeah, and that. Mine's giving Comrade. We need to find Comrade. But I think it basically was saying, and I do this so much, is I try and understand. I've tried so hard.
That's why we end up in those relationships.
To understand why people's actions are the way they are. And I saw something yesterday and it was like, it's a blessing not to.
you'll never understand because
And I
you'll
don't
never
want to.
No, because you'll never be wired that way.
Yeah, and I think that is it was just such an amazing, like, if you're ever trying to find, we could spend, I have hours, we quite literally have spent hours of trying to understand in therapy with friends, with each other, with sitting there and understanding why people have treated us the way they have, why these situations have happened, why we can't change them, why we can't make them be better people, why we can't make them see from our point of view. And all it comes down to is we're blessed that we don't have to, because
we would never do that
we
to
would
someone
be
else.
them.
But that's what I've been speaking about a lot recently I was speaking about it a lot on holiday with Liv. And I've gotten emotional a few times on holiday because I feel like since what happened to me with my ex-boyfriend, I've still repeatedly trusted and given my time and energy to so many of the wrong people, and I've still been stitched up and let down. I was kind of cracking a joke, like I've said it before on here. You think I'd have like some sort of maybe one trust issue by now, but I just always expect other people to treat me the way I treat them. And I think it's such a letdown for me. And that's something that makes me sad because it's constant. And I think I've been struggling a bit with being annoyed at myself for putting myself in those situations, but I shouldn't be. But it's like, I get a bit like, because I'm like, when will you learn? Like, I'm still giving people so much of myself and they're taking advantage of me, and that hurts. But I think
you go into it, I think, because you're such a kind, gentle person, you go into it with just the
I want to see the best.
Yeah, and you also think that everyone's going to be like you.
I expect me out of everyone else.
But unfortunately, with that comes a lot of letdown.
Yeah. And actually, I think that I think it's beautiful that we haven't let the world harden us. And I think fine, take it as much as you want. Like, people have wronged me so many times in my life, and every time, that's always my bloody quote, isn't it? Every time someone does wrong me or things do go bad for me, I have setback. The comeback is always great. I always flourish through.
And I was listening to a podcast actually the other day talking about this, and it was basically saying I think it was a Roxy Nafusi, probably, obviously. Who else do we listen to? Today? But it was basically saying that, it's so hard to see at the time. And I think I'm really starting to take all these things in and really trying to change my outlook like you, and believe that through everything, because there has been a lot of shitty situations throughout this whole process, and I'm really starting to believe that in everything bad that happens, there is a level of growth that needs to happen.
Yes.
And I truly, truly
it's a lesson. It's either a blessing or a lesson.
Yeah, and I really do feel like I've come to terms with the fact that every time something negative happens, and I feel like even with doing this podcast, I mean, at the beginning, I'm a lot calmer now than what I was at the beginning, because everything, the slightest thing, and I think it was like
that was also coming off the back of everything you've gone through as well.
Yeah, because I felt like I was
this was the only thing we could control.
Yeah, and then also I think I'd had to make everything be perfect, go perfect, go on this, that when something didn't go to plan, it was like something terrible was going to happen, and there was going to be this really bad. And I think I've learnt that through this, but everything that bad has happened, even through this journey,
leads to something better. That's what I said. I have been saying that that's my ethos in life. Everything that goes wrong is a redirection or a lesson. And on the point of lessons as well, this is how I've viewed life like this for years. I feel like you get a lesson in your life. If you don't learn it, the same lesson, I feel like it's like levels.
I think that, they're definitely trying to treat me like with parking tickets and speeding fines. But they keep giving them to me.
But like with the relationships and the men treating you badly, if you keep accepting that, you're going to keep getting it. It's every time you say to someone, you stop seeing someone that's not quite doing this right or not respecting you, something better comes along. And it's about saying, but I think back to what I was saying, just to polish that bit off about people letting you down and stuff, me down, I think take it. You obviously need it more than me. I've been robbed many a time or whatever in all sorts of situations, but have it, because it's not on me, it's within me. people need my kindness more than I need theirs, and I'm never going to let that change who I am and the way I show up. And yeah, I think it's just cool. That's exactly the thing, though. As much as set me back as hard as you want, I'm only going to come back better.
And that's such a...
I'm so glad that we've come to that realisation on our journey as well.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, this conversation is so important, because as much as it's about talking about the justice and stuff, I think this is such an important part
the healing
of the journey, because from him getting arrested to going to court, this has been what the journey's been, which is learning to heal, learning the lessons, learning that people are going to shit on you. You know, I've had situations with friends, you know, and I've been
let down,
massively let down, you know,
in the worst time of your life as well.
Yeah, and
it is hard to comprehend.
You know, I'm not gonna... I could sit here and talk about things, but they're private conversations, and they're ones that I don't want to go into, and I don't want to, you know, there's certain people that have let me down that I still have so much love for and respect enough to, you know, I don't want to sit here and go into that. But it's been a very, very hard lesson to learn through the friends.
I completely have had the exact same lesson as well.
Yeah, and it's hard. And I just think, you know, it's hard to, as much as you know deep down, as much as you say to me, I can say to you, other people say to you, I sit and, you know, I've got friends that are going through situations right now, and I'm like, you know, these and I can preach the best advice. Like, I'm so good at giving advice. Take it. Just so shit at listening to myself. And it is you do feel let down, and as much as anyone can sit and say to you, oh my God,
that's
you know,
sad.
It's meant to be. It's, you know, they're not meant to be in your life. You know, these people. And also, one thing that I've learned as well is you can... Just because someone, listen, your life is going to change and you're going to go through different seasons, and the person that I am becoming is someone that I've never been before. And I don't believe that these friends are meant to come on that journey with me. You know, I hold the best memories. They have been part of, you know, me turning into a mum, my party years, going out and ending up God knows where, and memories that I sit on a toilet, you know, when you're doing a wee and something comes into your mind, and they've been a huge part of that journey for me. And
I love what you're about to say.
And my life. And that doesn't mean that now, because we're not friends, yes, I'm angry over situations, and yes, I feel let down.
And they've run their course though.
But that is just part of that chapter of my story that is now closed, and I'm now moving into a new one. And I don't want to hold hate, you know, and it hurts me to my core that this has happened and I've had to lose, but I'm choosing to go in with it. They were a part of my life that was meant and amazing for that period, and now I'm moving into another chapter where I don't even know who I'm becoming, you know, and I am going to have different friends and who are meant to go into this next part of my life with me, and that's okay. I don't need to hate.
No, and that's really amazing that you said that. I literally spoke about this on my Insta story a couple of weeks ago as well, so I was saying a bit in the terms of dating, like I've dated people. I dated one guy who had 2 dates or whatever. Mm-hmm. Nothing came of it, but I really cherish instead of, and that's where I'm at in life now. I'm not trying to keep anyone here for any longer than they need to be. I don't mind people leaving and going and however things end up between us, but I will, if I've dated someone and they've brought good times to my life, I just cherish that. We had that was great. Those were great memories. Rather than trying to cling to those things, I'm actually, which is literally what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I have friends exactly the same. I'm not groups I'm not in anymore, but I look back on and I laugh and we had a great time, and that was part of my life and they're my memories,
and it's
that
part
was
of your journey to becoming her.
But now I'm in a different place and I'm with new people and we're having different experiences, and that is what it's about. Definitely, it's not holding on and trying to change things. It's accepting. And well, girl.
Yeah, no, and I think, and I can't remember where I saw it. I think it was probably a Roxy Nafusi thing, because everything I get inspo from is for her. But I feel like I've really tried to, because I can spend my days feeling bitter. I can spend my days feeling angry and holding hate. But the only person who that affects is me. And the only person who holds on to that negative energy is me, because they're going out, they're living their life. They've still got the same friendship group and then probably not giving a second thought to me.
I have a quote about hate. If I can read it.
So, yeah, I think, you really have. And one thing that I will really try and preach, I guess, is that you get to choose how you move forward in this situation. And there's going to be so many things that test you. There's going to be so many things that make you angry, make you cry. You're going to try and understand people's reasonings. I've had people that have seen what I've been through, family of his that I speak about, people that I was close to in his family that have literally done things that I could never ever imagine why. And, they've messaged me and I've gone back and wrote out messages after messages and deleted and messages. And in the end, I haven't even replied, because I'm like, it's not worth my time and energy anymore.
You don't, that's really powerful for you, because to see you in that place now.
Oh my God, because I am the one that fights.
To release the control, you've released, Cole, think what you think.
Yeah,
There's
and
so
that's
much
where I
power
got
in
to.
that. Can I read you this hatred quote?
Yeah.
So, holding anger is a poison. It eats you from the inside. We think that hating is a weapon that attacks the person who harmed us, but hatred is a curved blade, and the harm we do to ourselves.
And it's so true. It's so, so true. I love that, because
but all those people that we've just said we've lost and people who have wronged us, they're full of hate. That's why they do the things that they do. And that's why I think, Cole, take that from me. You need it, because I'm not carrying that. I'm full of love. And even though you've come and tried to destroy me and take XYZ from me, I'm still going to rise above that anyway. And this is pretty much my whole ethos in life, what you've just got to here.
Yeah.
Cool, take it. Do your worst. Like, you obviously need that more than me. And I feel sad for you that that's the way that you are. But you're never going to... And that's what I really learned with everything with my ex. You can never... I will still always be me, and I'll still always be kind and good.
You can't take that no matter
one of
how
my
much
first boyfriends ever had used to say, nice people always come last. And I really don't believe that. I think that when you move with good intentions and you mean well and you're a good person and you don't let the world harden you, regardless of anything material, what you have, where you do, what you achieve, living your life that way and being that way is so beautiful and happy. And I'm not sat at home hating on this person and feeling that negativity towards them. And I'm free and light, and you're not controlled by their opinions, and neither am I. And we're honouring ourselves and doing what's best for us.
And that's so, so important. It's so important. And also, it doesn't matter if that makes you live happier, then that's what's most important. I love that.
I love that. I feel like that was...
Yeah. So I think that's kind of it wrapped up. I feel like we've gone off a little bit, but I feel like it was really important to share, because, I can sit here and talk about facts and all of that, which we'll go into a little bit. But I think to actually understand the emotional journey.
And the healing journey you've been on, which is the most important.
Yeah. And
from then till now, I feel that's summed it up perfectly.
Such a huge part of it. So although I wasn't expecting to kind of go off that way, I think naturally that has been a huge, huge part of what I've been through.
And I think that's what happens every time with this podcast, that we've learned from the first time you had an idea, it leads itself.
Yeah.
Like we try and plan and arrange, and like with everything that's gone wrong, it has its own path, and that's how we've ended up here. And everything we speak about, we think it's going to do one thing, but it always has something better in store.
It's just, and it's just coming together, isn't it? And once we're sat down in these seats, it's just the conversation just flows so naturally and where it's meant to go. But I know so many of you are keen to understand, and I just want to talk a little bit about the process of what happens once he got arrested, and kind of, whether you're listening to this because of someone going through it, or whether it's yourself, or whether you've been through it, or whether you're just listening because, for whatever reason. I was very lucky that he was remanded, because I know the court process. To be honest, I feel like I've been lucky from the beginning, and I know we've said we hate that word, but I feel like luck is is a huge part of it. I feel like the police station that I dealt with in Harlow, from what I've heard from, obviously we speak to so many women that have dealt with police and situations throughout. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of other areas I don't think are where they need to be. People I know that have, been and dealt with at Harlow police station, every single one of them has had, listen, there's never going to be justice that we warrant right. If it was down to me, lock them up and throw away the key, But in terms of what we know is out there and how a lot of people, I feel like what I got.
You've been lucky.
I was lucky, and I feel so many people have from the same police station.
But what about what you said to me, what the police officer said to you about the process that usually happens is a woman who's been abused will report it. And then it's like, you told me the detective said this, you didn't they?
Yeah, so basically, because he got put on remand, when they are on remand, they have to deal with it a lot quicker. If they don't, a lot of the time, what happens is they'll get arrested, they'll get released on bail. The court cases, they were saying to me that court cases now are being, what year in 2025, there is court cases that are still going on from 2022, 2023. And now, if someone is arrested now, there is court cases going on till 27, 28.
Yeah, like they have to wait years for the trial.
And what then happens is, and this is what, is so normal and I totally understand,
which is
that
why
you'd
we
move
have this
on.
Pandemic.
Yeah, if that would have happened, I would like to think that in 2027, I'd be in a nice relationship. I'd be moved on. Would you want to look back and think, oh my God, I want to relive it all and drag it all back up if you're
see him again
in another relationship and you might have a new family, you might have a baby, you might married, your life could be completely different. Or even not even putting it down to a man, you may be just so healed and done so much work on yourself that you don't want to go back. The problem with that is the men then get let off. The women says, and what they said is so common, is that they get so far in and then the woman, which is not bad of her, then thinks, I don't want to keep going through this. I'd done it in 6 months and I had it quick, luckily, because he was on remand. But what tends to happen is they get to a certain point and then they think, I don't want to do this anymore. And so he gets away with it. He then has nothing on his record because it won't show up. He never got convicted. He never got found guilty. The case gets dropped, NFA. He has nothing on his record. He then goes out and the same process begins again until he ends up killing someone. Or it gets so bad,
like your case.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that is the cycle of why we have
why we have a domestic abuse call being made to the police every 30 seconds in this country.
And why there is such a pandemic. It is a national emergency and it's awful. And I feel like
there needs to be something.
Going through next year, I think this is where we are going to want to work so hard to just change. There has to be something that's done. Like there has to be something that's done, because
I think there should be something a bit similar to Claire's law, where it is on their record if they've been charged and everything else, and there needs to be something to protect women from in that situation.
Absolutely,
100%.
Absolutely, and it's just it's heartbreaking, and I can only
domestic abuse cases should be put to the top of the list because we do have a national emergency, and it is so common that they get dropped after the few-year wait time, which is releasing so many abusers back onto the streets that we now have a woman being killed every 3 days. I think that we should start a petition or something, maybe, that these cases get dealt with the urgency that they deserve, because they are urgent.
Yeah, and I think it's heartbreaking because of the anxiety that I have been through. And I feel like 6 months, it was March to September, exactly 6 months. And it had to be done within 6 months, because when they have someone on remand, they can only hold them for 6 months. So my fear was always that it was going to get to 6 months, because one thing that does happen a lot is things get pushed back and move. So if you follow me, you'll know a few times. If you don't, basically what would happen is they would say this date, the 29th of June, for example, or like in July,
We had a big night out
We had
planned,
a
didn't
night
we?
out booked because I wanted to just go out and celebrate the end of it. And this was going to be on the 19th of July. And the 18th of July at 4:30, I get told at 1:00 in the afternoon, yep, it's on the draft list. Yep, it should all, but you don't actually get the final list for the courts until 4:30. But yes, it's on the draft. Yes, it should be going in. And then at 4:30, they ring and say,
Something
no.
more important comes in, isn't it?
Yeah, or something that's more, I think where he was on remand and they knew they had until September, I think they probably knew he was going to serve time. They dealt with something, they had movement to push him back. But
that's also traumatic because you're getting your hopes up,
oh
down,
my
up,
God,
down.
that for me, actually, we're talking about like in things of growth. I was in an awful way. So basically that whole time through the court process, I had never had to go. He was dealt with via video link. He didn't have to appear in court. My mum and sister and a couple of friends had gone just to kind of hear what they'd say, but I didn't have to be there. So when the court dates get moved, it's frustrating, but it wasn't so much of a big thing. I felt like I dealt with them. Whereas the one on July the 19th was where I had to read my victim statement, where my army of friends and family had taken the time off. We had planned the night out to go out and celebrate the end of the chapter. People had taken time off work. Like I said, I'd sorted the children. I had geared myself up to stand up and face him. And it's like, that's the only thing, you know, I will praise the police and the judge till the cows come home because they have been fantastic with me. But unfortunately, the system does not understand the victim side of it, where you build yourself up for these things and then you're just let down last minute. And it's devastating. And I was in such a bad way. Like, I genuinely felt distraught because I just wanted
so
it
much
done.
On it.
But actually, through that process, another thing of growth that I found was that no matter what he got, it will never be enough. And what I come to realise is I was holding out so much for these
their
dates
validation
of their validation of what a judge gives him, what they say is right, when really the fact that I stood up, the fact that I went, the fact that, you know, I'd done what I'd put a boundary up to say, no, you are not doing this to me anymore, and I'm not going to allow you to do this to other people, was such a huge thing that actually whatever he got was a bonus. I'd had justice in my own right, which was that
you'd honoured yourself in the situation. You did the right thing.
And I think had that date not have got cancelled, I'd have never have seen it like that. So actually, I'm so glad. I mean, listen,
everything is a redirection.
It really is. And actually, you know, and I tried to go into the court date with that same mindset, and I did. I think no matter what had have happened, I could have walked away with the fact that he'd served 6 months. Regardless of anything, he had served 6 months
and
inside.
They had taken it seriously.
They had taken it seriously. I just got that extra little bit of
yes, justice
that
he deserved.
That I deserved. He deserves to be in there, and
for himself, he deserves to be in there.
I think
that is the best place for him to be.
Yeah, I think it. Oh my God, without a doubt, you know, and
he needs to learn. You can't abuse people.
Yeah,
you can't.
Yeah,
he needs to learn that. That's what people don't understand in this situation. You have done the best for him as well, because he now has to be held accountable for his act. Like, that's something I've learned in therapy that I love. And I say it to people all the time. I ask my parents to hold me accountable. Allow me to grow and become better and learn. We're all learning.
Yeah. And thing is, the problem is, and going back to like enabling and stuff, and this is where the problem happens, is unfortunately, I remember a conversation that was with a friend and to do with his friends, and they were saying, you know, he's in there and he is holding himself accountable. You know, they are holding him accountable. And I was like,
no, I've held him accountable.
None of you have held him accountable.
You've enabled.
He's not accountable. When you all had the chance, when he was on the outside, to say, no, this isn't right, you chose to all go out drinking. And
call
she
you what
said
they
to
called
me,
you
you
as
know,
well.
well, if it was you and we've been friends for 15 years, I would stand by your side. And I was like, well, I can categorically tell you, if you had put your children in therapy, if you had beat animals, if you had beat people, I would not be there standing by your side. Now, if they choose to be in support of him, that is fine. But if
That's
that was
not the
one of my
reason.
friends, I would be saying to them, I will be here to support you, but I will not be going out drinking. I will not be going out partying with you until you go and get the help that
But
you
where's your
need.
support as well?
Well, exactly. But if you want to choose, like his family, you know, I think people have got it wrong that I am so angry that his mum and his family have stood by him. My issue is not, I've got a son, right? I've got children. I would stand by my son through whatever. And if that was him in there, would I go to the court? Yes. Would I go and visit him in prison? Yes. No one is saying anyone is wrong for that. That is not my point. No, even his friends, you know, go and support. But where it's gone wrong is, if as a mother, I would be saying to the girl and the woman, you have done the best thing for
Thank you.
yourself and for him. Thank you. Because not only are you saving his life, you're saving your life, you're saving future women's life. He has issues and he needs to be held accountable, and he needs to get help. Would I be going and telling him, oh my God, she's this, she's that, she fucking... No.
You wouldn't, because then they abuse you for
I would be
doing
devastated
the right thing.
for that girl. I would be saying how sorry I am. I would be doing all of that. And that's where the issue is. It's not anything to do with the fact that I don't expect them to go and support him.
It's the fact that they've at the end of the day,
don't make me the problem. I'm not wrong for what I've done.
Thank God you can see that.
You know, I'm not wrong for what I've done. Do not make me the one.
Don't villainise you for being brave enough.
Yeah.
And to almost dying.
Yeah.
And saying that's wrong.
Yeah.
Do not villainise you for that and shame or blame you for it.
And that's where I think the confusion is. And it's exactly the same with friends. You know, I'm not here to say don't ever speak to him again. I mean, personally, would I ever speak to someone like that again? No. But some people have different standards. And if that's who you want in your friendship group in 5, 10, 15 years, that's who you want around your children. And, you know, you're all well and good to stand by him. But
you're not being a good friend.
You're not being a good friend.
Because a good friend holds their friend accountable when they are wrong and holds them to a high standard.
Yeah.
Because if you was moving like that and you were treating people badly, I wouldn't avoid an uncomfortable conversation and ignore it. Because I care about you so much and you mean so much to me, I would hold you accountable and I would give you the opportunity to grow and improve. And actually, out of everyone, the person who did the best for him, ironically, is you.
Yeah.
Even though this is making me go cold.
What a full circle moment.
But he did the worst to you, and actually you did the best for him.
Yeah.
Because now he will...
That's made me feel really...
I know. That's really weird, isn't it? But that just shows what sort of person that you are.
And it is. And you know, for everyone around him, for his children, you know, and everyone, the thing is that everyone knows what he's like. Everyone. I've had friends on the phone to me before they all decided that everyone was in my corner until I went to the police.
Yeah.
And that is the truth of it. Friends, family, friends of his would sit on the phone and say, yeah, we've not even been that close. I disagree with him over this. I disagree with him over that. His family, everyone was in my corner until I went to the police. And that is, and I get, listen, I don't get it. I don't, me saying I get it.
That's not really being in your corner. I think that's just trying to control the narrative.
Well, they was happy because I was keeping everything quiet. When I was keeping everything quiet, when I was suffering, but not him.
They didn't have to be accountable.
They didn't have to be accountable. And all of this situation is doing, unfortunately, which is why people have gone on the turn, is it's making people feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, because it's making them have to look in the mirror and realise the sort of person that they are protecting.
Yeah.
And that's their work, not yours. And for them to actually put that on you is wrong. But I do think the best thing for him is where he is now. And you did that.
And... So, yeah, the last final bit of it was...
The trial.
So, basically, through the court dates, he basically went guilty. He didn't get found guilty. He done a plea deal. They actually did drop a charge, which was a strangulation, intentional strangulation. I actually have got the letter still in my car of why they dropped it. And basically, most things are done with plea deals. I was expecting that. They said to me from the very beginning, they don't want to go to trials.
No, because
the police. It's a long old process. It's traumatic for you. If it had gone to trial, it could have gone on a lot longer.
They want
to get a result and get it done and closed. And unfortunately, as much as they do seem to care, we are a number.
But also, they need to get that out the way so they can help the next woman as well.
Exactly. So they don't want trials. So where they can, they will do plea deals. And he actually did one. To be honest, we wasn't actually expecting it to be for as much as he was. He basically went guilty to everything bar the strangulation. I know he's done it. I've got photo evidence. It's why the charge.
I think the police know they've done it, didn't they? Just put it into one of the other charges instead.
But also they've got evidence of that, which is why it was there in the first place. They couldn't just make up a strangulation charge if I had no evidence.
They can't make anything up if you don't have lots of evidence.
I have pictures of bruise marks all around my neck. But madly enough, which I find really weird, is the charges that he had. So he had 2 counts of coercive and controlling behaviour. One was for a year's worth of violence, and one was for non-violence, which was just emotional and what's the other word? Psychological. And
controlling.
And then there was an ABH, so actual bodily harm, which I think was for biting my face and breaking my fingers. And the strangulation charge, funnily enough, they basically, when they wrote me a letter, the reason they agreed to that was because it would have added no more time. The most serious charge that he had was a coercive and controlling behaviour. And now in domestic abuse, that is one of the highest.
You know, that's a very, very new charge.
Yeah.
It's only been around the last year or two,
it's not been long at all. And the fact that he had 2 of them, they basically said
it wouldn't make a difference.
It would have made no difference whatsoever to the time that he would have got. Now, had it have done, they would have followed through with it because he'd have probably got found guilty of it. But actually, to put me through a trial to get no extra sentencing time is too traumatic for me, and it's a waste of their time in resources, which I get.
And that's already a struggling system.
So we decided to agree with the plea deal. I had him for enough, which could get a conviction, and I didn't want to go for a trial, if I'm honest, not because I'd have loved to have stood up and been able to tell my story, but I didn't want this dragging on for my whole life. I didn't want to put myself through unnecessary more trauma. I wanted it, and they agreed, so that was actually dropped. And then so that was done at one of the things. So once that had happened, it kind of was just sentencing. They could only hold him for 6 months, so it had to be done by September. And then it was September the 5th, I think, wasn't it, the date? Which was so... Oh, it was such a weird... I mean, I feel like I went into that courtroom...
I don't know how you did it.
I don't know how to. I feel like I was not me. Like, I felt like
I was terrified.
I cried. I just couldn't. I mean, to be fair, when I was sitting in the little room and yous were already in there. So for anyone watching who's going through this, you go into, so as the victim, you will go into a victim room away from everybody. So all my family and friends were with me. You're not in the room where his family and stuff are. And you can request to
have a screen
up. So basically, when I walked into the room, he got taken out, everyone got taken out. I walked in behind the screen, and then they invite everyone back in, and then on the way out. So while I was in the courtroom, he can't see me, I can't see him, because I was adamant that that was what I did not want. I did not want to look at him. I didn't want him to see me. But
don't.
He,
this is the first wrong step they took, in my opinion. They tried to argue about you having a screen.
Yeah, him and his defence said they didn't want me to have a screen.
Which is literally, which is something that they offer to every domestic abuse victim in any criminal proceeding. The procedure is to have a screen. That his lawyer, who was a woman as well, was so bad at her job. Like, even I feel like I could have done better than she did. Why would you... you're standing here trying to plead that. Why on earth would you try and take away a woman's?
Well, I think they tried to say, didn't they, that because I'm not because I've not been asked to go as a witness, I'm a victim, and I've chosen. I've basically you've been big enough to stand up and give a statement. So why do you need protecting? Like, mental.
And that screen was only there to make you more comfortable. And I think straight away the judge is thinking,
well, he must have thought, well, that's control and that's manipulation.
You're still trying to get at her. You've abused this woman for however. That's what I just thought. Everything that his defense was doing, I just thought, you are making yourself look so bad because it's so clear that you're just trying to minimize everything, and that's not going to get you anywhere, honey.
Yeah. The judge, and it didn't. The judge was fantastic. Like,
your victim statement was fantastic as well.
Yeah.
It was the most. I've never been proud of anyone in my life. Like, I don't know how you had the courage. Like, it was so powerful. Like, the way it was so moving. And I think
was going to read it, wasn't I?
Yeah, but I think that's what's crazy. Like, they just made themselves look so silly. Like, they're sat there trying to not let you have a screen, and you're sat there, like, what you said was so powerful, and it just made them look so.
The judge even reread the statement.
He reread it in the
which
sentencing.
He didn't have to. Like, the CPS ladies
he was
were
quoting
crying.
it. Yeah,
he was
everyone was crying.
Yeah, he was re-quoting it. Like, and he said, that made for really humble. And that's the advice I would give to anyone as well, is when they ask you to do your victim statement, the sheet that they gave me to do a victim statement basically said 3 words on it. It was because there's no emotion from them. It's, how has this affected you? Oh, she lost her job. Oh, she stopped showing up. Oh, she done this. It's very tick list. And I was like,
this ain't my story.
No, that's that
was your closure in a way as well.
Affected me. So all I could say to anybody in this situation, if you're going to do a victim statement, make sure you write it yourself. Don't just do the sheet when you are allowed. And if you can and you have the strength, go to court and read it, because someone else reading it, a police officer, it took all of my strength, but the outcome that I got from that was completely different.
And you just showed yourself how strong you were.
So that he would never have got that time, I don't think, had a police officer the victim statement wouldn't have even got read. The judge would have just looked at it behind the thing and seen, how has she been affected? Oh, okay, she stopped showing up on social media. That's all they would have got from that.
And they need that colour. Like,
they need to see that
that's
emotion.
That's what the detective calls it, isn't it? Colour. Like, you have the facts and the times and all of that, but it's the colour around it, and that's what your statement did. And it's a picture that it paints and the impact it had. Yeah. And that's where you really understand how awful the coercive control especially really was, and how much it did impact you because of the way that it changed your life.
Yeah, because I think the story of that was, the relationship was awful. It was awful. But it doesn't just because I've been brave enough, or for anyone that's been brave enough to walk away from that situation, it's not over. In actual fact, that's where your story, the trauma starts, because you bury it for so long. You don't understand that it's trauma. You don't understand that you're being abused. The second you leave is when it all starts. And that's what needs to be taken into accountability. Just because you've then put them behind bars, or you've gone to the police.
It's not what he did. Well, obviously it is what he did, but it's not about what he did. It's not just about what he did. It's the lasting effect. It's about how it affected you, and what that did to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's so important.
That is so important. So yeah, for anybody who's watching this, going through a court case, my biggest bit of advice would be, write your own victim statement and stand up in court. You can do it via video link, but I think there's something about being in that courtroom and standing up. You don't have to see them. You are so well protected. You are in a separate room. I felt so safe. I felt so protected. And actually, it was my little bit of last empowerment.
That was the last thing they'll ever hear you say.
The last thing he will ever hear me say was that. And also his family and friends. I mean, not that I think it bothered them that fucking much, because all they give a shit about was what date he was getting released.
They were sat on their phone. Yeah, they were. But I got to see it from
Well, I know you girls that they said
I
you
was
didn't take
so
your eyes off of it. Like
well.
that, Sally was literally
She
like I
was
was
bogging
staring him
him.
down the
I
whole
looked.
time.
So I've never seen him before, and I was really scared. Like when we were going, it sort of hit me on the morning of, where I realised where I was going. I was absolutely petrified to look at him, because for me it's the same as the viewers. He's like not a fictional character. So obviously I knew what he looked like and things, but
It's hard to understand.
I've heard in so much.
Once you see him, it then becomes more real.
I've heard in so much detail the terrible things he's done to you. You're obviously someone I care about. When it's someone you care about, it's like harder to. And I've experienced you from. You'll never experience yourself from an outside. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I see you differently. Like I've actually got to have you in my life and be close to you and meet your children and be in your life. And so for me to hear that someone who had that access to you did the things he did is incomprehensible and sickening. But then to actually have to look at him I was absolutely petrified to see him.
Yeah.
And when we first got in there was like, oh, it's fine, he's not here, he's on WebLink. And I was like, phew. And then I looked to my right and there's a door and a window and I just saw him through the door and I felt...
Oh my God, did you?
Yeah, I felt sick. Like I saw him through the window and he was looking at me. And then when he came in, I was just looking at him like, look, it makes me... It's because it's just like looking at... Because what he did was so terrible.
Like looking at a monster.
Yeah, it is. And he met your kids, like, it's terrifying. And I've seen... Yeah, and there was one time, I don't know how I felt. It's just... But I remember one point, he looked at me and we locked eyes for ages and I thought, I am not fucking taking my eyes off of you.
Even that he's got the ball like front.
When it was first going on, I've got to say one thing about it that I have to. When he first got in there and they were reading things out, he was a bit like this.
Oh yeah, that's what everyone kept saying. He was a bit like his eyes, and it's like, what are you rolling your eyes for? You've pled guilty,
babe. But he was a bit like, that attitude, a bit like, oh, that's not true, like bell end. And then I'll never forget the best part. The one thing they read out, and this does just bring me joy. They read out this text exchange where Hollie's knee was on show. I've seen the picture. It is a half of her knee. The things, like his family was also a bit bullish as well. He was bullish. When they read this conversation out, I don't know how everyone in the room did not die on the spot of embarrassment. Like, how can you sit there and the things he was saying in those messages were so embarrassing over the quarter of your knee and the way he spoke, it was disgusting. But I just thought, from his point of view, he was probably doing that at the time. He's had that freaking held up to him in a courtroom around. He's actually had to face that and hear what he really said. And I just thought...
I wonder how it feels to hear that back.
Yeah, like I thought that if that doesn't humble you, like you should all be hanging your heads in shame, because that is the most horrific thing. Like what we had to hear that he did and everything.
I think in the break or the lunch, because they adjourned it, so we was only meant to be in there for an hour, wasn't we?
But they dragged it out so long.
And they dragged it, they went for lunch and then they came back in. And I think during the lunch, someone said to me, he must have been told that he was going to prison because he came back in a shell of himself.
Well, because I think, though, when he came back in, what his defence started to try and do is play the, he's never abused a partner before and he's been to therapy and he's good behaviour and he understands what he's done. He's written the judge an apology letter and all of this. He started trying to plead he had a rough childhood and he's been through So that's why I think his energy changed, because then he's playing into that. But they just didn't play it well. They should have come in there and said, I think the sentencing would have been less if they hadn't challenged it so much. They tried to minimise your experience and invalidate it so much when it was there in black and white. What they should have, if I was his lawyer, I would have come in and said, we give anything Hollie needs. She needs a screen, anything to make her more comfortable. We're so sorry she's in this situation. Yeah. We take full accountability for everything he's done. Yeah. He wants to do the work. They tried to argue and nitpick, well, was it an extended period of time? She tried to nitpick the smallest things. They weren't even clever things to nitpick either. And she just totally went against her whole argument of, well, he's changed, he means well. Because if that's the case and you really understand the severity of what's happened here, Why are you trying to challenge it and why are you trying to argue?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't an extended period of time.
Well, he just absolutely wiped the floor with
judge
all of
literally
that.
said,
He
I
literally
think-
was like, there is no way you can. They tried to argue for him to be seen as a first-time offender because his violent past on record wasn't ever towards a woman. And the judge was like,
It's got a violent past, we've seen a pattern.
Absolutely not.
And they can't sit, that annoyed me so much, because how can you sit there and say he's never abused a woman before when you don't know that? And that is wrong for that lawyer to say that.
But yeah, the judge just absolutely wipes the floor with him. I mean, they tried to say that my abuse wasn't prolonged, and they don't think. And he was like, it was significant.
He said to the woman, the judge literally said to her, and I was like cheering inside. He went, because when she said that I was pulling my hair, I wanted to peel my skin off. What she was saying was so annoying. Like, it was, my ears was bleeding. I thought, you're a woman as well. How you, like, again, don't understand it. But the judge, love to that man. We've got his name. I've got his name on my phone.
He's going for Prime
All
Minister.
my good well wishes. If I could ever pick a lottery winner, he's getting it. But yeah, he turned around to her and he said to the freaking lawyer woman, and was like, I think that if you had been emotionally and physically abused every single day for however many months, I think you would think it was an extended period of time too.
Yes. Yes, he did say that.
It was so, and I thought, yes, sit down.
You tell her.
I thought, yeah, every single, and there were things, obviously I've familiarised myself with the case in some detail of what you told me. I knew there was things, and your mum knows everything. She knew it all when we came out for lunch. I knew there was things she was saying that were not factually true. Like, she was trying to claim inconsistencies here, and it wasn't true. And I was scared that he would believe her, but he didn't. So he literally saw right through her. She was not good at her job.
No,
she made it worse.
The judge was incredible. He made a example, I think, of him when it comes to domestic abuse.
Well, they have to now, because he's reading out the guidelines, wasn't he?
And he was actually saying that because of all these things with ABH and things like that, because it was in, what makes it so much worse is that he got extra time because it was in a domestic setting. Now, had he gone out and broken a man's fingers, as awful as that is, because he'd done it as part of a loving, trusting relationship where I trusted him, I should have been loved and protected by him, and he broke that. The guidelines is so much more when it comes to sentencing.
Well, they have all those guidelines that they do have to, because I will say the police chief's commissioner has come out and released, he did it at the start of this year, I think, and said we have a national emergency for violence against women in this country, and it should be treated with the severity of terrorism.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And I think that is the guidelines he was reading.
Yeah.
Really did back that up.
No, it was amazing. And I just, for so many of you, I know you'll be watching this and, you may not have had that same
victory.
But for anyone who is going through it, who has not thought,
your
or is
victory
scared,
was everyone's victory, by the way.
Yeah, I've done this for all of us that,
and they felt that.
This is the start of something, a movement that we are going to make sure
this isn't happening anymore.
This isn't happening. Things are going to be changed within the laws. Like, we won't stop fighting forever now. We're so early on, and right now we're going on a healing journey. But over the course of the next,
the rest of our lives,
we want to change the way the world sees abuse, or the way the world doesn't see abuse.
We want to, that was amazing. Yeah. We want to change the way the world doesn't see abuse.
Yeah, not how it does see it, because I think there's so much.
Doesn't see it.
I just want to leave it with this. So many girls have messaged me off the back of this and said, I wish I had the strength to go to the police. I wish I had the strength to go. Oh God, it makes me go cold. My legs are tingling. To go through court. I didn't, and I was weak. He's now in another relationship and he could be doing it to her. You are not weak. The fact that you survived the relationship yourself, and the fact that you got out is more strength than you could ever imagine.
And I think both of us my stepmom picked me up off the floor and she took me to the police station. Same with your parents.
Had I not have had someone there, we would never have gone.
Your parents took you to the police, mine took me to the police.
We would never have gone, and not everyone's family situations, but we are here to be that voice, and we are here to make
give
sure
you that support.
Exactly that. We are here to give you the support, but what you have done is enough. The fact that you are not in that relationship anymore, the fact that you had enough strength to pick yourself up and survive and move forward with your life is enough. we
All
will
you can
be
do
the
is the
voice
best. Yeah, we'll do it for you.
for the rest of it.
All you can do is, if you can go to sleep at night knowing that you've moved with integrity and good intentions and you've done the best you could at the time, then you have nothing to
Yeah.
shame
And you're
yourself for.
amazing. And the fact that you survived, and this is for all the girls that didn't. And
Yeah.
as heartbreaking as that is,
That's made me go
I
really
know,
cold.
that is who this is for, because I don't want
I have the number in my phone, but I'm not going to get it
any
out.
of us to be a statistic that didn't make it out.
I've got to read you a statistic now because I actually did some research into this a couple of days ago and it really upset me, but it's really important. I've got the
No.
bloody number, and basically it was, I calculated, little bit off topic, but really will keep it short. I watched Schindler's List, and I also watched One Life, and a couple of weeks ago, and at the end of it, they show you how many people are now alive because of the things that Schindler did.
Wow.
So he basically saved Jewish people from the Holocaust, and he saved 1,000. I think he saved the most. And because of 1,000 people he saved, there are now, I don't know, I'm making up the numbers, 16,000 people alive today because of the 1,000 people he saved.
Yeah, so it's like
and I looked up how many women we lost last year, how many women were killed last year in domestic violence. And I compared it with like the birth rates and the variety of ages and just rough ballpark figure. And I can't get the number now, but I will say it another time. And like, how many more people would be alive in 10 years' time if those women hadn't died last year from domestic abuse? And it's like, how many women, how many potential lives we are losing? That's a life. They've lost their lives as well. And that's already a huge loss. I do have the numbers because it does really upset me. The amount of women that we are losing every year and the generations to come from them that we'll never get.
And it's so scary. And the thing is as well, it can happen to end, like, once you're in a violent relationship, it doesn't have to get to a point where someone gets a gun or a knife and stabs you or shoots you. The amount of times I got pushed on stairs.
The biggest killer is choking, strangulation by accident.
I got strangled. I got pushed over and smashed my head into the corners of frames, and I'd be on the floor and the room would be spinning.
Or you felt suicidal afterwards as well.
Or being suicidal afterwards. There's so many ways that
These
it doesn't have to be someone
you.
gets so extreme that they go and buy a gun and shoot you, you know. That does happen, yes. But also it can just be not more simpler. I don't mean it like that, but you know what I mean.
Things that you seem a lot closer to you than that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's really important. That's why I was looking at those statistics. I think it's really important to be honest and truthful about who is responsible for those violences and deaths. And it's called domestic for a reason, because it's people that we're in intimate relationships with, and it is the people that we know and that we're grown up with around us, and the people, it's the people that are around us that are doing that. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of misinformation going around right now as to who's responsible for those crimes, and I think that does nothing but put women at more risk, because you're just giving the real persecutors something to hide behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for listening, guys. I hope that's helped. I know we've gone off on a little bit of a tangent. We've kind of spoke about the healing journeys and the things that have happened over the last year. And we look forward to seeing you
on the next
episode 9.
God knows, 8 or 9.
Well, who knows where we are.
But hope you love the new studio as well.
Yes, and we will put links in the show notes as per usual, if for anyone going through it, if you know anyone going through it. Obviously, if any of this relates to you and you want to drop us a message on the House of H.E.R, our DMs are always open.
And same with our personal accounts.
And same with our personals. We'll pop our personal accounts also in the show notes.
Patreon as well.
We've got our H.E.R community, which we will pop in there. And in any way that we can support you, if you know anyone that needs to see our podcast, please share. You don't know whose life
you're going to be helping.
Yeah. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Yeah. Bye guys. Love you.
There are no words that can ever truly explain what he has done to my life. This isn't something I'm ever going to be able to just move on from. This has changed me completely. I thought leaving him would bring me peace, but I had no idea that walking away would be the start of the real trauma. Since leaving, my life has been one long battle with my own mind. I don't live in peace, I live in survival mode. My body is stuck in fight or flight, and no matter how hard I try, I can't get it to stop. I wake up every single morning with panic in my chest before I've even opened my eyes. It's like my body is stuck in the relationship and still thinks I'm in danger. My nervous system is shattered. My brain is always waiting for something bad to happen, even in the safest of moments. I could be sitting with my children, cooking dinner, walking down the road, and suddenly I'm right back in it. The flashbacks hit me out of nowhere, and I picture the look in his eyes, and I can see his fists tensing. I hear the slamming doors, and I feel the weight of being locked in that car again, screaming inside but frozen in fear, and I can't breathe, and that fear has never left me. He didn't just hurt me physically, although he did that too. I was regularly covered in bruises, bite marks on my face, broken fingers that made it impossible to cut my children's dinner. But the physical scars heal, the mental ones, they destroyed me. He stripped away every part of who I was. Before him, I was bubbly, outgoing, a good mum. I had my own business, dreams, goals. I wore clothes that made me feel good and posted about it proudly. I loved being me. But he chipped away at that person every single day until she disappeared. He controlled what I wore, how I spoke, when I laughed, how I acted, who I talked to. He made me feel like nothing I did was ever right. I had to shrink myself to keep him calm, and that didn't even work. He told me I needed hormone blockers to chill out because my hormones were making me hard to live with, and that when I was due on, that's why he would hit me. Imagine being a woman and trying to stop your own hormones just so that your man you love doesn't attack you. After being diagnosed with ADHD, I was trialling some medication as I was really struggling to stay focused and felt like my ADHD was at an all-time high. Looking back, a huge part of this was the overwhelm from a severely controlling relationship, which was really heightening everything. At the time, I had no idea, and they helped. For a while I felt clearer and more stable, more like myself, but then he told me I was a zombie, that it made me weird, and once again he blamed that for his violence. He then made me stop my ADHD medication or he was going to leave me, knowing full well how much I needed it to function. I spent a whole year changing every part of myself, my personality, my emotions, my appearance, just to try and stop him from hurting me, and it still wasn't enough. I now know it would never have been. But back then, I believed I was the problem, that I was broken, that if I could just love him better, he wouldn't be like that. That's the kind of psychological control that destroys a person. By the end, I didn't know who I was. I lived in a fog. I stayed in pyjamas for days at a time. I gave up on my business. I couldn't post pictures of myself without him tearing me apart, first calling me names and giving me so much abuse that it became too overwhelming for me to continue. Also, hiding bruises became extremely hard through the summer. There was no choice but for me to close my online business down. Trying to model clothes and look in a mirror in outfits with bruises covering your face, arms and chest and legs is horrific, and I couldn't look at it anymore. I couldn't even look in a mirror because the reflection scared me. I never ever believed I would be that woman who spends her days covering bruises from someone I thought loved me. I thought that maybe shutting down my online business would help. He always complained that I was too chaotic and constantly reminded me of how unfulfilled I made him. He told me I didn't give him enough time to sit and cuddle, but I was a single mum of 2 children trying to build a future for us. Still, I hoped that by walking away from the business I'd spent years building, the arguments would stop, that maybe if I wasn't so chaotic or didn't dress a certain way for work, the abuse would stop. But it didn't. Instead, it brought a whole new layer of stress. Financially, it hit me hard. I'd spent 7 years building that business, and just like that, I gave it up. I lost a huge part of my monthly income, and it left me struggling. All because I thought changing myself and giving things up might stop him hurting me. It never did. And the damage didn't stop with me. My children never witnessed the violence directly, but they saw the aftermath. They saw their mum broken. They saw me crying at night, blaming headaches when the truth was far worse. They cuddled me. The nights my kids have had to cuddle me and wipe my tears and try and make me smile, not knowing what I was carrying. Coming home with black eyes and bruises covering my body and making excuses while trying to stay strong. I lost so many beautiful moments with them because I was in survival mode, and I will never ever get those moments back. At the start of this year, I hit rock bottom. I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't think I was strong enough to get through it. I didn't think I was the mum my kids needed. I felt like I had nothing left. and I truly believed my life wasn't worth living. That's the level of damage he caused. I had friends sleeping on my floor just to make sure I didn't do something I couldn't undo. That's what I was reduced to. Since then, I've poured everything I have into trying to heal. I've spent hundreds of pounds on therapy. I travelled all the way to Birmingham for specialist trauma treatment because my anxiety and PTSD were that severe, and was prescribed medication for my PTSD by my doctor. I deal with constant vertigo, panic, flashbacks, and a body that won't stop expecting pain that isn't coming because it doesn't know how to feel safe anymore. Some days I have good days, and then the realisation hits me. I had no idea another human could ever make me feel this way. This trauma has rewired me completely, and I'm mentally exhausted. I'm tired of fighting my own mind just to get through the day. I can't rest, and I can't fully enjoy things. I'm always one thought away from being dragged back into that dark place. That's what his abuse done to me. I was told by my trauma therapist to remove every mirror from my home. She said I was abusing myself with my own words every time I saw myself, that I couldn't heal while I was still at war with myself. That's the level I was at. Mirrors terrified me. Seeing myself reminded me of everything he made me believe. I was ugly, worthless, crazy, too much, too hormonal, too loud, too broken, and I believed it all. I spent so long covering up the violence, so much so that it was almost like while I didn't talk about it to anyone, it wasn't real. But unfortunately now it's more real than ever. Although I shut down my online clothing business, I also had a second online income through network marketing, which I'd been building on the side to help support my family. But even that wasn't safe from his control. He would go through my social media accounts daily, scrutinising everything I posted, and after we split up, he continued to monitor it so closely that I became paralysed from anxiety. From February this year through to April, I completely stopped showing up online. I couldn't face going on and talking knowing he was watching. As a result, I lost out on vital income during that time, which added even more financial stress to everything I was already dealing with. Since he's been away, I've slowly started trying to rebuild that business again. Because for now, I know he isn't on the other side of the screen watching my every move. This isn't something I'll just move on from. This is a life sentence, and it affects every part of who I am. My health, my confidence, my work, my relationships, and my ability to just be a mum. He didn't just hurt me during the relationship, he continues to hurt me every single day. I have to live with the after effects of what he did. This wasn't a bad relationship, this was abuse, manipulation, violence and control, and it has traumatised me for life. I am doing everything I can to rebuild what he tried to destroy, but I need the court to understand the depths of what he's done. The scars he left aren't just emotional, they are neurological, physical and lifelong. Leaving him didn't free me, it handed me the hardest battle of my life, and I'm still fighting every single day.